Hello everybody and welcome to another video, and we have finally reached December. Where the fuck did that year go? It seems to have just disappeared somewhere. But anyway, with it being December, the start of the month, that means we are also looking at Patreon requested tracks, and these are going to be the last Patreon requested tracks of the year. And the first one comes from Bladed Thesis, who has asked me to look at a band called Pop Evil. Not heard of them before, so, you know, as is my usual, I had to try and find out some information about them. Now, there is quite a lot of information about them. I'm not going to go through all of it, obviously, because I could be here all day. But in general, Pop Evil is an American rock band that formed in North Muskegon, Michigan. Muskegon, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Anyway, they formed in 2001 by Lake Kakati. The band's roots reside in 10-5, a group that was formed in the late 1990s by Kakati and guitarist Jason Reed. So it sounds like, you know, 10-5 was a band, maybe they disbanded, maybe loads of members left, so they decided to reform into something else. Pop Evil has several songs that top the Billboard mainstream rock charts, including Trenches and Waking Lions. Now, like I said, there is a lot more information about them here, but I'm not going to go through all of that. So yeah, it doesn't really give an idea of what they might sound like. It just says they are a rock band. Now, that could mean bloody anything. You know, I've been covering a fair amount of rock recently, strangely enough. But anyway, and he's asked me to look at the song Torn to Pieces, which, going by a conversation I had with Bladed Thesis on a video premiere recently, this is apparently quite an emotional song, which is guaranteed to make you have the feels, or something along those lines. I remember he said there was definitely an emotional response to the song. Anyway, so I've got lyrics here. I'm not entirely sure what to expect going into it, so this should be interesting. So we will jump into that. But before we do that, if you could just take a moment to like and subscribe, I would really, really appreciate it. I am actually almost at 10,000 subscribers, which is a target I never thought I'd get. I mean, hell, I never even thought I'd get to 100 videos, let alone the almost 900 videos that I've got. And I certainly never thought I'd get to 10,000 subscribers. But with that being said, still only 3% of people watching my videos are actually subscribed, which is a bit disheartening, because I've been doing this for 6 years, and like I say, I've got nearly 900 videos, and only 3% of my viewers are subscribed. It's a little bit disheartening. So, you know, if you could take a moment to like and subscribe if you haven't already, it would really mean the world to me. It would make a huge difference to me and the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. It takes a fraction of a second, and really would make a big difference to me and the channel. But anyway, let's jump into this track and see what we've got. So this is Torn to Pieces by Pop Evil. Let's have a look.
Here I sit all alone like an aeroplane on the edge of a sky full of solid gray, staring at the ceiling. Tell me that I'm
Wow, that is quite a powerful song. That is. Obviously, the song itself seems to be. It seems to be talking about the fact he seems to have lost his father, and he's having trouble coming to terms with it, and he's hoping that he lived up to his father's expectations, if you will. You know, there's a specific line there. I sit here in misery, wondering if I'll ever be half the man you wanted me to be. So, you know, he's sitting there wondering if he'll ever live up to being as good a man as his father, you know, his father saw his potential to be. So, yeah, that's quite a heavy song to start off the holiday period, isn't it? Anyway, like I said, quite powerful, quite an emotional song. The verses in this are very, very short, which is very unusual. I mean, the song is made up. I mean, you've got verse, chorus, chorus, bridge, chorus, chorus. So you've got, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 choruses to 2 verses. So quite a lot of chorus going on there. But the chorus is like the sort of crux of it, you know, that's the bit that holds all the weight in it, if you will. And I like it for that, you know, the fact it actually has that weight to it. Because I can't remember what song it was I was talking about recently. I think it was... I can't remember what it was. But, you know, it was quite an emotional song. But there was just no impact in the delivery, you know. The whole performance was quite flat. You know, and where the music came in hitting hard and hitting heavy, where there should be like a really big emotional drop, the vocals were just pretty flat. You know, there was no weight to them. Whereas here, they've got it right. You know, the main verse itself is sort of quiet. It's sort of... It sort of portrays the agony, you know, the hurt, the loneliness, the sadness that they're feeling. And then the chorus comes in with that big hit, you know, that big sort of drop, and, you know, the guitars come chugging in, you know, add that extra weight to it. And the vocal performance itself, you know, changes ever so slightly and brings in that sort of agonized, pained feeling that someone is feeling at the loss. You know, so there is the emotional weight in the performance of this track that works. You know, and I really like that because it does add a lot more weight and impact to the actual meaning of the song. You know, and it's I'm not going to say it's an easy thing to do, but it's not a hard thing to do. You know, you want, if you're trying to make an emotional song, you want to have that impact in there. You know, you don't want to just be sitting there going, yes, I'm sad, feel sorry for me, I'm sad. You know, you want to have that heart-wrenching agony come across in the music. You know, you don't just want a monotone, flat sort of, yes, I'm sad, please feel sorry for me, I am so sad, oh my heart, it hurts. You know, that doesn't give anything. You know, it doesn't make you feel anything. That's just like, okay, all right, you know. You want that emotional weight. Anyway, I'm waffling on. So, this first line amuses me just because it's a very bizarre way of saying something, but I get what he means. The first line is, here I sit all alone like an airplane. Now, you could have chosen anything else, but he went for airplane. Now, I can kind of understand where he's headed with that, because airplanes, you know, when they're way up in the sky, however many miles above the earth that they are very alone. You know, most of the time you will not encounter or see another airplane anywhere close to you. So it is a very solitary object. It's just a very strange one to pick, but I get why he's done it, because it is a very lonely object. You know, it's a million miles, or not a million miles, it's, you know, several hundred miles off the actual Earth. You know, so it's way away from civilization, but there's also very much nothing around him. So, yeah, I get it. It's just a weird one. Anyway, I sit here all alone like an airplane, on the edge of a sky full of solid grey, staring at the ceiling, tell me that I'm dreaming, oh I wish you were here today. All these days I know I'll never get back, all these words I know I wish I could have or should have said. All these dreams that we had now fade to black, try to wash it away. So he's sitting there in his room or whatever, feeling very, very much alone, on the edge of a sky full of solid grey, so everything is bleak, everything is clouded, he's very much in that feeling very isolated and very alone, staring at the ceiling and, wishing that this circumstance was not true. Tell me that I'm dreaming, I don't want this to be real. Oh, I wish you were here today. Something that a great many people would probably think about parents, grandparents, people that they've lost in their lives. I know there are a few that I wish were here today. All these days I know I'll never get back. Obviously, you can never go back and relive moments except for in your mind. You can't have those intimate moments with close friends and family ever again. You can't, you'll never get them back. Once they're gone, they are gone. All these words I know I wish I should have said. And this is when Ward 16 did a cover of Saying It Now. This is something I mentioned. When you lose someone, there is always going to be something you wish you'd said to that person before they'd left. Whether it be I love you or, how much they mean to you. There's always going to be something you wish you'd said. And you maybe put it off until tomorrow. It's like, I'll tell them later, but sometimes later never comes. And if you need to say something meaningful and heartfelt to someone, it's best to say it now. And he's saying, all those words I wish I should have said. He's got all these things that he knows he wanted to say, and like I said, it seems to be to his father, but he never got round to it. And now he's filled with the regret that maybe he never told his dad just how much he meant to him, how much maybe he looked up to him and idolised him, how important that man was in his life. And he's sitting there with the regret that he's never told his father that. Or maybe he has told him that, but he feels like he should have told him more. Maybe he should have said, I wish I'd said it every day sort of thing, And he's sitting there with the regret that he feels he didn't tell him enough how important he was. All these dreams that we had now fade to black. Obviously, these dreams will never be fulfilled, so you can do nothing but watch them fade away because they will forever be unfulfilled. Try to watch it away. Then it goes into the chorus. I'm torn to pieces, I'm broken down, I still see your face when you're not around. I sit here in misery, wondering if I'll ever be half the man you wanted me to be. So again, torn to pieces, broken down, this guy is hurting. I still see your face when you're not around. So, occasionally he might walk past someone in the street and they might look so uncannily similar to his father, or he might see something at the corner of his eye and think maybe his father was walking past, or this, that and the other. It's something I've done myself, because one of the most uncanny ones I've mentioned before, my best friend Steve, who took his own life like several years ago. There were times when I would occasionally thought that I'd seen him out in the street, and then one of the weirdest things in my life had ever happened. I got a job working in a Blockbuster video store, and my boss, a guy called Simon, had exactly the same initials to his name as my friend Stephen, and he looked the bloody spitting image of him, except he had short hair. It was really weird. But since my uncle passed away about 2 years ago now, there have been times when I've been walking down the street and I've seen someone and gone, Jesus Christ, that looked just like my uncle. It's very strange. It's a weird phenomenon. And whether it's your brain trying to cope with the loss of that person, trying to maybe comfort you, sort of going like, look, they're still around somewhere, in your mind, or it's just, your mind playing tricks on you going, I don't know. But either way. But that line there, I sit here in misery, wondering if I'll ever be half the man you wanted me to be. He wants to know if he, he wondered if he ever lived up to his father's expectation. Maybe his father never actually said how proud he was of his son. I don't know. But he's sitting there thinking, you were a good man. You were, you were a great man. You were a selfless man. You were a wonderful, caring person, and I hope to one day live up to the standard that you set. But he's sitting there wondering if maybe he'll ever match that, whether he'll ever attain that, whether he'll ever be as good a man as his father had hoped for him. So, it's quite an impactful thing to sit there and think. Not something I had problems with my father, I can tell you. Here I float through the air like a waterfall. Then I sink to the bottom like a cannonball. Having trouble breathing, suddenly I'm screaming, why wasn't I good enough? Even though I know you're not going to come back, I can't wash it away. So, here I float through the air like a waterfall, then I sink to the bottom like a cannonball. So, is that like, he's so stunned by this profound loss that he's sort of just wandering through life at the moment, he's sort of, he's got no direction, he doesn't know what he's doing, so he's just sort of wandering aimlessly, and then suddenly it hits him, that sudden hurt, the reminder that his father is now gone, and he sinks, it suddenly hits him, it hurts, and then he's dragged back into reality, and he's like, oh shit, this hurts, and ow, that did hurt, ow. Anyway, having trouble breathing, suddenly I'm screaming, so panic attacks, anxiety, trying to come to terms with the profound loss. And this line here, why wasn't I good enough? Now, is this going back to what I said before, maybe he feels he didn't live up to his father's expectations, maybe he felt he let his father down, Maybe there's the entire possibility that maybe he didn't actually have that good of a relationship with his father. Maybe there was a rift between them, and maybe they didn't get a chance to reconcile before his father's passing. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know the history of the song. But, that line, why wasn't I good enough, sort of suggests there might have been some sort of disagreement between them. Maybe they had been estranged for a while, who knows? And, he feels like he wasn't good enough, but like in the chorus he's saying, wishing I could be, wondering if I'll ever be half the man you wanted me to be. So it's like, maybe his father was disappointed that he went into music, maybe his father wanted him to be a scientist, a doctor, or, something else, politician maybe. Maybe it's like, why are you a musician? Musicians make no money. Maybe it was something like that, and maybe he's thinking like that line, will I ever be half the man you wanted me to be? His father had high aspirations for him. He wanted him to do great things with his life, and maybe he was disappointed that he was a musician. I don't know exactly. It's just that line there, why wasn't I good enough? It does make me wonder if there was perhaps a rift between them. Even though I know you're not going to come back, I can't wash it away. And that I can't wash it away, maybe is that I can't wash away this feeling that maybe I wasn't good enough. Because him saying, why wasn't I good enough? Maybe that's only a him thing. Maybe he still feels he was never as good as his father wanted him to be. Why wasn't I good enough? Why did I never reach the peak of what you expected from me or what you wanted from me? And I can't wash it away, is that I can't wash away this feeling that I maybe let you down? Is that what he's talking about? Possibly, I don't know. Then it goes back into that chorus, torn to pieces, I'm broken down, I still see your face when you're not around. I sit here in misery, wondering if I'll ever be half the man you wanted me to be, and that gets repeated again. Then it goes into a little bridge saying, it's tearing me to pieces, tearing me to pieces, it's tearing me to pieces, tearing me to pieces. Even though I know you're not going to come back, I can't wash it away. And then it repeats the chorus again, twice, with, some harmonies thrown in. So, it's quite an emotionally impactful song. The vocal performance does portray the emotion that the song needs. It could possibly have done with maybe a little bit more strength, but it's not necessary. It still does portray the hurt that this person is feeling. You know, he's saying, I'm torn to pieces, I am hurting because I've had this profound loss in my life, and I'm sitting here questioning whether or not I will ever live up to their expectations. And also, you know, there are a lot of things I regret we never said. I regret some conversations we never had. I regret not telling him how important he was to me. You know, so it's just a guy coming, you know, struggling to come to terms with the profound loss of a loved one, basically. And, you know, it does portray that, it does bring that across. You know, it has that emotional punch within the musical performance and within the vocal performance, you know, which sometimes doesn't always happen. Anyway, you get what I mean. You know, occasionally you get songs that are supposed to be deep and profound and, you know, emotional, and they just miss the mark because of either the musical performance or, like, I can't remember who it was it Ray Chu? Someone recently, you know, a song that I looked at recently, it was supposed to be emotional, impactful, you know, heartbreaking, but the actual vocal performance was so monotone, so flat, that it just didn't bring across the emotions that the song deserved, you know, because the lyrics themselves had that emotional punch in them, but the delivery ruined it. But that's not the case here. You know, the lyrics have that emotional punch. They have that emotional impact. The vocal performance had that emotional impact. They had that emotional punch. The music as well delivered also on that front. And that's important when you're trying to create a piece of music that has that emotional aspect to it. You know, it's all got to come together. You know, missing just one of those pieces is just not going to work. It's going to fall flat. So, you know, a good piece of music, an emotional piece of music, not one I can personally relate to because, you know, whilst I have lost my father, me and him were not close at all. So, yeah. It's a good piece of music. I like it. The performance was good. I'd be interested to hear something else by them. You know, maybe this is a sort of lighter piece of music by this band, you know, with it being a sort of emotionally heavy sort of... I'm not going to call it a ballad because it didn't quite have the same... structure. It didn't really have a ballad-esque feeling to it, but it did feel like maybe a softer piece of music for the band. So I'd be interested in maybe discovering something of theirs which is a bit on the sort of stronger and heavier side. You know, maybe they don't go much heavier than this. I don't know. This is why I'd like to find out more. You know, because I've always said, you know, I'm not going to judge a band by just one example of their work. You know, I always like to get a more sort of rounded idea of who a band are before I sort of give a full sort of, yes, this band are great, yes, this band are terrible. You know, so if anybody can come up with any other tracks by this band that you think I should take a look at, please do let me know. But yeah, like I say, it was a good piece of music. I like it. Like I said, it delivered on the emotional promise that the title gave. You know, just the title itself, Torn to Pieces, it does suggest, you know, someone struggling with an emotional turmoil. I mean, it could also be a song about zombies, but it wasn't. You know, so it delivered on all fronts. You know, maybe it could have had a little bit more emotional weight behind it, but that's possibly just me looking for that real gut-wrenching sort of emotion. But it's perfect the way it is, really, and I like it. But I don't know what else I can say on that, so I'll leave that as it is. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and a subscribe if you haven't already. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm almost up to 10,000 subscribers, you know, and only 3% of people watching my videos are actually subscribed. So, you know, it's a little bit disheartening. And, you know, I'd really like to get to 10,000. I'm not expecting to get there by the end of the year, obviously, but I'd really like to get to 10,000 because, you know, I've been doing this for about 6 years. I never even thought I'd get past 100 videos, let alone close to 900. And I certainly never thought I'd get up to, or even close to 10,000 subscribers. So, you know, it really means a lot to me, and, you know, I really, really, really appreciate it. So, you know, if you could like and subscribe, I'd really, really appreciate it. It doesn't cost you anything. It takes a fraction of a second, and it really does make the biggest difference to me and the channel. But with that being said, I don't know what else I can say on that. So I will leave that as it is. And, yeah, I'll be back very soon with the last Patreon request from Mistress Vicious for the year. And, yeah, so I will see you very soon. Bye-bye.
I'm torn to pieces. say